President Biden visited Normandy with President Emmanuel Macron.
Seemingly crapping himself.
Times reports around 20 Green Party election candidates have
The Prime Minister has apologised this morning for leaving the D-Day commemorations. Apologised.
All right. Yo, ladies and gents, welcome back to your twice weekly reminder that everything is awful and there is probably no hope whatsoever. This is Abe Thompson and Other Disappointments. It's episode 284 now, guys. 284. Tonight it's just me. We've had guests on last couple of weeks, I think. On the Friday night show, we had Mark, aka Van Man Talks. If you're not following him, go and give him a subscribe on YouTube. He does sort of similar stuff to me, you know, political comment, a bit of ranting, reactionary nonsense. Go and show him some love. And then who did we have there? Oh, yeah, we had Lucy Lucraft the week before. Professional podcast producer and journalist, Lucy Lucraft. But tonight it is back to just me, and you, and this camera, and all of us together, you know? The whole family, the whole band is back together again, guys. With the live chat, the Patreons, the YouTube community backers. What's up to all of you? How's it going? Their names across the screen right now. Would you like your name to be included with these wonders, these beauties? Would you like to come to the in-person meetup on Saturday, the 6th of July in London? Then don't be a stranger. Guys, my lovelies, my binfluencers, my people of the booge. There is a link to Patreon and to the YouTube community in the description below, if you're not part of it yet. More on that towards the end. But yes, it's good. It's good to have us all here together again this Friday night, is it not? As we try to scratch beneath the scab of insanity in the hope that we might allow some common sense to run freely once more. Now, let's talk about this week, shall we? Should we do our normal Friday night thing where we run through the days of the week and how insane politics has become? Should we do that? Relive the chaos like it's some sort of This Is Your Life flavoured anxiety dream. Should we do that? Yes, we shall. That's what we do on these Friday night shows. So, how did the week start, guys? Well, Monday, Sunak decided that he would try to make gains in the election campaign by addressing the cost of living crisis and explaining the national debt to each and every one of us and how serious it is. No, I'm just kidding. He did none of that. Of course he didn't. He put out a press release instead, designed to get everyone worked up over trans rights and criminalising trans women from going to the toilet. So, yeah. Go on, Rish. Now, a lot of this stuff might sound nonsensical, right? Like, how can you attempt to legislate this stuff and stay within equality legislation and protections? Where is a trans woman then supposed to go? To the toilet or to get changed? How is this actually going to work in the real world that you so clearly do not wish to inhabit? You know? Has he thought this through, I wondered? Where is an attacked trans woman supposed to go if she is prohibited from setting foot inside a refuge shelter? I wondered. But wonder no more, guys. Because Secretary of State for the Culture Wars, Kemi Badenoch, was on the rounds that morning to answer every single question with a tenacious and steadfast commitment to cretiny. And she was, promptly widely mocked for not really understanding her own policy. Badenoch was last seen sobbing inconsolably, but none of us understand our policies. Tuesday. What happened on Tuesday, guys? Tuesday saw Rishi Sunak and Keir Starmer go head-to-head in what appeared to be the latest edition of a game show entitled The Week is Long. The week is long, bruv. And, how did they perform? Well, Sunak struggled. Keir Starmer struggled. We all struggled, I think. Most of the UK media, not the newspapers, but the wider broadcast media, most of the UK media agreed with my broader sensibilities about life, love, and the universe, which is none of us are winners here. Even whoever wins it is still a loser, basically. I mean, even if Sunak had won the debate and then, he goes on to win the election or stand a greater chance of winning the election, what does he actually win? If he'd won the debate, he wins a slightly better shot at staying on as Prime Minister through the most challenging and tumultuous period since the Second World War. He wins the opportunity to stay on Sewage Island for another 5 years with a pissed off wife who just wants to be in California, Rishi. What's the runner-up prize for that? You lose the election, but you get to regain your privacy and freedom? And you can fly off to another country? Oh, it sounds devastating. There can be no winners here, I'm afraid. I mean, it's no wonder that he appears to be doing everything in his power to fuck it up for himself. Like, if that was the prize, wouldn't you be like, I'm going to see if I can wriggle out of this somehow? Anyway, Wednesday, the reverberations of Farage's return had begun to grow, hadn't they? And if his, stepping up at the press conference, Richard Tice welcoming him back as Reform leader, if that whole event had been the political earthquake that it was being described as, well, then the Jurassic Park ripples were still being felt the next day, specifically in milkshakes in Clacton-on-Sea. By the time we get to Thursday, guys, what had taken place this week? How had the Tories' election campaign unfolded? Well, Sunak had failed to land any punches in the ITV debate, so said YouGov. And what's the name of the other? I can never... Aventis or something? No, that's a pharmaceutical company, isn't it? What's the name? It's like Avantis something. Anyway, the polling companies had said, basically, no score draw. Nobody was coming out a clear winner. So he'd failed to land any punches in that. He'd been caught out for lying about the £2,000 Labour tax hike figure. Nadine Dorries had gone on the Newsagents podcast and ostensibly called his entire administration disgusting. And he had allowed Reform now to poll neck and neck with the Conservative Party. That's been his week. But that didn't stop him from performing an encore, ladies and gents, by enraging the flag nonces out there, the Express readers, the Telegraph readers, the people who can't keep their dicks limp for a poppy. Enraging them by leaving the D-Day commemorations early so he could fly home in a private helicopter, natch, in time to film an interview with ITV that is still not scheduled to go out yet for over another week. I mean, at this point, Sunak seems so dead set against winning, doesn't he? He's so committed to pissing off his own side and people who would otherwise ordinarily follow him and support him and vote for him. He's so dead set against pleasing them. Now, honestly, I wouldn't rule out that turning up for next week's campaigning appointments, I wouldn't rule out that he turns up for those trans. But yeah, anyway, now it's it's Friday night, and he has he's since apologized now, and so that's it's a big thing for a politician to actually say sorry instead of pretending that they've already apologized. You ever notice that when they go like, "Look, he's since apologized for," like, that is not an apology. Pretending that the other guy has already apologized. I think he's apologized for that. I think we all need to move. No, that's not. It was regrettable. Still not an apology. You need to learn the word sorry. SORR. What can you say? Sorry for us. But yeah, on this occasion, he has actually apologized, and so we must do what we always do on this podcast. We must see the best in people, right? And we must move on now to their next fuck up. But yes, anyway, so that's been this week, guys. How did you find it? Did you enjoy it? Was it a good time for you? Now, I don't know if any of you caught up with the midweek show. I do 2 shows a week. If it's your first time tuning in, I do a Tuesday night, sort of Wednesday morning show. It tends to go out. But the midweek one, it's just come off Patreon, so you might not have caught up with it yet. But on the midweek one this week, I was talking about how frustrating it is that the Green Party never seem to get the same press attention as Reform. Right? And I don't think that's a necessarily, unique point to make. It's always a bone of contention that here you have a party with literally like hundreds of councillors, a party that have secured political seats throughout the country. They've got a more mature party structure. They've got their own donors and PR guys. So it forces the question, does it not? Like, why don't these relatively stable, grown, and in my opinion, significantly more sane political party representatives get anything close to the coverage that box office super twat Nigel Farage gets, And I was listing off ideas in this midweek show, some more sensible than others, admittedly. But ideas for stunts. Ideas for ways that they could get press attention. How to get out there a little bit more. Like one of them was like, dump, because they're big into the environment. One of them, you could dump a load of sewage into Downing Street. Like, here you go, this is your shit, clean it up. Like that sort of vibe, right? I don't want to get sued for like inciting political unrest. It was just one idea, right, of a few. Another one was to like have these big plastic invoices, right? Because they're big on corporate tax avoidance. We should actually tax the people and the companies that have all the fucking money. That's one of their things too. So I said, you could get these big plastic invoices printed up and mounted outside the offices, the headquarters of serial corporate tax avoiders. Like, this is how much you owe the Exchequer. It's $600 million. Money by Monday, Starbucks. Anyway, so these were some ideas. I was just throwing them around. And basically, the overarching point, not to labour it, was that, they need to get more press. They need to get out there a little bit more. And now it's quite funny tonight Because here I am ranting to myself like, oh man, the Greens, they just need a bit more press, a bit more PR. How come there's never any, front pages about the Greens and... And now, no sooner had I said that now, today, front page of the Times, Green anti-Semitism storm. It's like, awesome. Good effort. Front page, guys. Front page of the Times, of a newspaper of record. You've made it. It's not necessarily a 100% positive piece, but it's a start, Carla. Carla Denyer, co-leader of the Green Party. It's a start. Baby steps. All right? I'm not knocking it. I know it sounds like I'm being, snarky, sarcastic, but, truly, you guys, you've gone from nothing to Question Time and front page of the fucking Times in like 1 week. And the Today Show, by the way. Radio 4. Flagship politics show. The Greens are getting out there, man. And this is incredible. Yes, it's highly suggestive that your party has some sort of anti-Semitism problem. But you know what? This is happening all over the place these days. It's always happening. It's all the rage. It is literally all the rage. It's like... But it's a new style of political fashion, is anti-Semitism now. And it shares its roots in traditional European politics also. Hitler started out with a touch of anti-Semitism. People said, oh, you're really anti-Semitic. But look where it got him. Look where he ended up, with Europe in the palm of his hand, Carla. So there you go. This is how it starts. You're making headway. I'm being ridiculous here, obviously, aren't I? It's the Green Party are not Nazis. I'm reasonably confident of that. The Green Party are not Nazis. I'm just saying, they said Corbyn was an anti-Semite, didn't they? But I don't think he really hated Jewish people, right? We could be honest about that now, can't we? I don't personally believe that Jeremy Corbyn hated Jewish people. And then they said more recently, the Peace in Gaza protests were hate marches and rife with anti-Semitism, didn't they? Which is, again, only my opinion. I just think that's utterly ridiculous. You've got these people out there protesting for peace. Peace and love. People are like, we just want to live in a world where everyone loves each other and respects one another and we don't hurt each other. Please can you stop bombing children in a United Nations school this week? Please. And people are like, whoa. Sounding a bit Hitlery there. You want to calm down on the peace and love stuff there, Adolf? So yeah, I don't know. It just seems like the new genre, the new political fashion now. Everything is anti-Semitic, isn't it? Labour as an entity. They said Labour were institutionally anti-Semitic. Now it's the Greens' turn this week and next week. Next it will be, you'll see footage on the thing like of a guy, a Muslim guy in Gaza carrying his dead wife from some sort of bombing campaign, or IDF forces going in and accidentally shot her or whatever. He's going to carry her over to another journalist. And he's going to be like, I just want Israeli forces to stop murdering my family. That's what he's going to say. And then, British establishment figures are going to watch that. I just want these forces to stop bombing my kids, murdering my family. And then the British establishment figures are going to go like, oh, again with these unhelpful tropes. That is how ridiculous it is now. But anyway, yes, now it is the Greens' turn, isn't it? It's the Greens' turn to be anti-Semitic. Which, I mean, like, maybe they are, right? Maybe they are. Let's try and be open-minded about this. Let's just consider the possibility that they have a giant anti-Semitism problem in the corridors of the Green Party. It is possible. But I always think it's a weird accusation to toss haphazardly onto people on the left. You know? I mean, I'm sure there are racists on the left, right? I'm sure that there are reactionaries and clumsy and hot-headed people on the left of the political landscape who allow their criticism and scrutiny of the Israeli state, not Jewish people, but their criticism of the Israeli state and IDF forces and Netanyahu, they allow that to spill over into terminology that could then be misinterpreted as anti-Semitism. I'm sure that those people do exist. But broadly speaking, right, if you're looking for a group, a political party of people who align themselves with thinking that they are better than a group of culturally, racially different people, right? I feel like that's, I mean, like it's not impossible to make that case that a load of, cardigan wearing, hemp smoking, incense stick burning, sustainable living types are also racist. It's not impossible to make that case, but it's just, I mean, I'm not a lawyer, right? I want to be really clear about that. Totally not a lawyer. Do not take legal advice from me. I'm not a lawyer. But I would have thought that if you wanted to table accusations like that, like this group of people are racist, this group of people really don't like Jews and they subscribe to outdated stereotypes and Jews control the world, and if you wanted to make that case that a particular, maybe political group are racist and have it stick and have people take you seriously, I mean, I would have thought those allegations would stick better in somewhere like, the EDL or the Reform Party. You might find more evidence of it. It might be more believable to a jury than a load of really weirdly compassionate, lefty, climate-conscious people who have spent years of their life posting every single black square and rainbow you could imagine. I would have thought it'd be an easier week at work for you to make them stick over here than over there, is all I'm saying. I mean, especially, like, I don't want to sound like I'm just bashing Farage or Reform, unnecessarily, baselessly the whole time. I'm sure that I don't need to tell you guys that it was Nigel Farage who was reported to have been, like, when he was younger, walking around mocking or Mickey taking, like reenacting the, Third Reich and salutes and stuff, and basically singing "Gas them all, gas them all." One of his teachers raised serious concerns about his fascist tendencies. One of his schoolmates said that he often bragged about how his initials, NF, were the same as like NF for the National Front. This is all documented. So I'm not just, baselessly casting aspersions on Reform because they happen to be in the news a lot this week. There is some substance to what I come out with. So yeah, I don't know, man. I'm not saying 100% that the Green Party definitely aren't racist Jew haters. I'm not saying it's definite, like 100%. I'm just saying, I'd be surprised if that group of people doubled as racists. It would surprise me, is all I'm saying. I mean, it'd be like finding out like your wife's Tuesday night book club is also the local dogfighting ring. Like, these guys are into that? Really? Oh, yeah. Don't let her sweet, innocent book club persona fool you, Aid. She might look all sweet and innocent with her Bronte sisters and chick lit. But once she's had a couple of wines in her, oh, mate, she and Rover go to town on those poodles. She's very competitive, Aid. Anyway, what else has been in the news this week? What have your favourite stories been? People in the live chat, people in the comments section catching up on this later. What has been your most ridiculous news story this week that has arisen? I will raise one with you now quickly while you're all thinking and sharing them in the chat. That footage of Joe Biden at the D-Day thing, where it kind of looks like he's had an accident, in the sort of toddler, daddy, I've had an accident, like that sort of sense. Like, what do we think happened there? Should we watch it? Have I got the video here? Let me see if I can dig it up. Hold up. I don't know if you can see this. But like he's...
Please welcome the Honorable Lloyd J. Austin.
Like, what is he doing? He's like... So Macron shakes his hand and he turns around to look at Jill Biden. And then it's like he's like crouching and sort of arching his back. I mean, it'd be a weird way to take a poo, wouldn't it? I don't know how you guys poo, but I do not poo like... Mind you, I've never pooed standing up, I don't think. So and then we got this one, right? This is even weirder. So they're all facing the same way. If you listen to this on Apple Podcast or Spotify, it's him, Macron, Jill Biden, and they're all facing forward, like they're sort of, they're attending, they're showing their respects, they're in silence, etc., etc. And then, watch this. Joe Biden just turns around and faces the other direction. It's like, and then they all do it too. They're like, oh God, Joe's gone rogue. We gotta. Or if we all face the same way as well, I don't know why I'm doing an American accent for Macron. I can't. My American accent is better than my French one. Sue me. But they all turn around also and face the opposite way. It's just weird because we all know that Joe Biden's no spring chicken, right? He's 81 years old, I think. And there's been so many pieces about, the onset of dementia. What is his cognitive ability like? Could the Democratic Party not find a better candidate than that? To go against Trump? It's like the gravest, most tumultuous period in American history, in living memory. And this is the guy you're putting up against that guy. That's the best we can do, is it? Okay, well. So there's all of these pieces about his cognitive decline, and there's a lot of concern around this and his age. And even if he did win the election, would he actually see out the next 4 years? Probably not. And then they come out with this, and it's just, I'll tell you what it looks like, right? I'll tell you what it looks like. This looks like somebody drove the ice cream truck past the care home. Watch. Ding da dong da ding da. Oh my God, is that an ice cream truck? Is that I thought I heard an ice cream truck. Is it and then his son is like, imagine Macron's his son. He's just, oh God, Dad, there's no ice cream truck. Like where is the ice cream truck? I swear to God, I just heard a ice cream. We gotta get ice creams. For me and your mom. Okay, get me a feast bar, and where's Annabelle? Annabelle will have get her a 99 with the strawberry sauce on it. Run along now. And his son's like, Mom's been dead for 20 years, Dad. He's like, oh God, am I having a fuzzy moment again? Yes, Dad. Oh God, I'm sorry. It's all right. Let's get you back to your room. Have I missed Johnny Carson? No, he's dead too. They're all dead. They've been dead for 20 years, Dad. I'm sorry. I apologize. It's all right. Am I too old to be president? No. You're the best guy for the job. Don't say that. Never say that. I got to take my my jumper off. I'm absolutely roasting in here today. Oh, also you can see my t-shirt. Check this out. Shook milkshake special. I haven't put these up in the merch store yet, but if you want one, DM me and I'll see if I can sort it out. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't want to rag on Biden. I don't want to sort of fall into that, MAGA corner of the internet. He's obviously got some challenges. There's something going on there. I think it would be much, much better for him, for the Democrat Party, for the United States, and so then by proxy for the rest of Western liberal democracy, if he or his wife or his son, if everyone just sat down and had a conversation and went, maybe it's time for you to just enjoy your retirement, You've had your innings, Joe. You've done a great job. You beat him in 2020. You've behaved with dignity since then, but maybe now is the time for you to put your feet up, You've earned it. What do we actually think is going to happen with Biden, with Trump, with American democracy? What do we actually think? What do you guys think in the live chat is the most likely, probable outcome now for the United States of America? My predictions are characteristically bleak. Because, it's been a weird week for me, right? Because I did the tweet where I predicted Nigel Farage coming back, and it would be at the beginning of the campaign, blah, blah, blah. I've gone on about this endlessly. And that was in the midweek show as well. So if you're interested in how I arrived at that conclusion / prediction, go back and listen to that one. But I did that. And so now I've actually had a few people saying, what do you think is going to happen then at the election? Do you think the Lib Dems are going to do... Are the Tories going to become the third party? Like, they won't even be opposition? What's your prediction for that? What's your prediction for the US aid? For Biden? For Trump? Etc., etc. And now I'm in a position where I have to actually carefully think and, employ some analysis as to what I truly think is most probable for where we are now. And I think there is an excellent chance that Donald Trump will win the election in November. And part of that, I think, is because Biden is so obviously old and frail. I think that's a narrative that has been successfully woven, if you like. I also think there's probably a lot of people who sit on the left, on that sort of Labour left kind of peace in Gaza place of the political landscape, who they think Biden hasn't done enough to push back on Israel. I think a lot of them will just stay home. I don't think they'll flip to Trump, but I don't think they could bring themselves to vote for someone who has tacitly supported that kind of geopolitical instability and violence. So they'll stay home, and that will allow Trump an easier ride of it. And then I think you've got all of the polls that even before he was convicted, this is Donald Trump, he was leading in 5 of the key states. So I think when you marry up all of these things, and then you add, I guess the fourth pillar to all of that is the thing that I always come back to whenever I'm asked about this stuff. I always come back to, what is the worst thing that could happen in this democratic exercise? With the Brexit referendum, it was that we would leave the European Union. I was like, yeah, I'll put 50 quid on that. and so it became. That's what happened. Same thing with Trump in 2016. What's the worst thing that could happen? I'll put 50 quid on that. Fucking happened again! And now, the Farage thing, the refund thing, that's, what's the worst thing that would happen? So now that has happened. What's the worst thing that could happen now? Is that Trump will re-secure the White House in November. And actually, do you know what the worst thing that could happen, right? Is that Trump does win the election, but then because he's no spring chicken either, I mean, so much attention is given to Biden and his age and his fragility for good reason. But Trump's what, like 76, 77 years old, If people die at 76, people often just go like, well, I mean, it feels a bit, it's in the bracket. It's in the area where it's, not that shocking, especially for somebody who weighs about 270 pounds and lives off a diet of, McDonald's and whatever else. Rumoured amphetamine use. The worst thing that could happen is Trump does win the election, and then almost immediately after or before he's actually able to take office in January, because remember there's that whole changeover period, before that happens, he dies. Which, I know that sounds like morbid or macabre or, whatever, but honestly, that would be the worst thing for American democracy and for geopolitical stability, because could you imagine the conspiracy theories? Could you imagine? Here we are talking about the Green Party being engulfed in some sort of anti-Semitism row. The Democrats would never emerge from it. You'd have your Marjorie Taylor Greens, your Steve Bannons, your Alex Joneses, all of your, mainstream top-tier conspiracy theories. You'd have them, and then you'd have, the what's that lady? The one that, she identifies as a MAGA prophet. They truly treat this movement, like it's a church. And the fucked up thing is, they might actually try to elevate Donald Trump as some sort of saint, right? I wouldn't rule that out at all. So that's the worst thing that could happen, is that he wins the election and then he just dies of old age and having a haggard, prescription-ravaged McDonald's shit incubator of a body just... They must have killed him! They assassinated him because they couldn't take him. Look what they did to Donnie. They are that insane. There's no way they would believe that this quite obviously unhealthy old man had just died. They would never believe that. They never believe cause and effect, just the most obvious answer or explanation for things. They just wouldn't have it, would they? You're dealing with a class or a subset of people who thought a school shooting was a false flag operation, right? With crisis actors. You're dealing with a congresswoman in March. Is she a congresswoman or a senator? I can't remember now. But you're dealing with a politician who weaved conspiracy theories about Jewish space lasers. It sounds like if we did offboard Marjorie Taylor Greene, maybe she could make the transition over here to the Green Party. I don't know. But yeah, obviously they would never accept that this very unhealthy gentleman had just keeled over and died. They've had court case after court case after court case with proof laid out to them of actual criminal activity happening, falsifying business records, fraudulent documents. And still, even then, looking at the evidence right in front of them, I don't believe this. This is fake news. This is not news. This is a legal document. I don't care. Donnie says fake news. It is no wonder at all how and why these right-leaning, red-cheeked Republicans endlessly bang on about land of the free and liberty. I think I would think that land of the free and liberty was pretty fucking good too if every time I got myself in a spot of bother, if I was about to be met with the consequences of my foolhardiness my corruption. If every time that was about to happen, I could just bag it up, box it up, and just dismiss it as it's fake news, and that is the weaponization of the Justice Department. You're trying to bring me down. Evil, corrupt, fascist, Marxists. If I could just do that every time I fucked up, every time I was about to be found out for some shit that I did, I think I'd probably think liberty was amazing too. Anybody could do anything in this country. Fucking obviously. You can. Like I was thinking the other day, right? If Trump loses, I don't think he'll accept it. I actually think you'll see some serious political violence. I think MAGA will become a sort of terror cell, like a sort of informal people's army, if you like. And I think you'll start to see maybe shootings, ram raidy kind of, bombings, IRA flavored sort of stuff. I think that is the trajectory that we're on here. That is the most probable outcome and end game that I could see. Maybe you guys disagree. Maybe you think Trump will just turn over a new leaf, Maybe you think the last 4 years, is it, that's afforded him an opportunity for reflection. And maybe you think he's done a lot of, soul searching, and maybe he's gotten saner over that time. Maybe you think it'll all be fine. If Biden wins and Trump loses, Trump will just accept that. I have my doubts. So I think if Biden wins, political instability, probably political violence. I think if Trump wins, I think American democracy, as you know and remember it, I think that's probably done. I think he'll be looking to settle scores. I think with this new emboldened second term, if you can call it that, I think he'll go harder to the right, more hardline. He'll try to put protections in so that he and his kids, if they then later take the throne from him, that they will be protected, that they can basically do whatever they like. I think you'll probably see something similar to when Putin became president and he started putting legal protections in place that would allow him to increase his term from 2 terms to 3 terms. Oh, no, actually now I think for stability, for Mother Russia, now it should be 4 terms. Oh, now it should be 5 terms. He'll never leave power. And I think that is what you will see. If you don't, if Trump wins and it's a second, it might not go that dictatorial immediately, but you'll start to see moves in that direction. I have no doubt. The thing that always weirds me out about Trump fans, or not even really Trump fans, it's like Republicans in general. Think back to where Republicans were in the 80s and the 90s and even into the noughties. They used to be, flag-waving patriots, scared of Russia. We got to stand up to Russia. And now they've got to the point where democracy is almost like a secondary thought. They would actually quite welcome a Trump dictatorship. Think of that journey that they've been on. To go from super pro-democracy and liberty and freedom to welcoming in a sort of Putin 2.0 and the relaxing of democratic laws and protections. I don't have to tell you guys, if you've tuned into this podcast before, you will know, there's vox pops and clips of Republican voters turned Trump radicalists, if you want to call them that, who now freely say it to the camera. They're like, well, maybe what we need, I hate to say this, I can't believe I am saying this, but maybe what America needs is its own dictator. It's a wild trip to have been on, isn't it? To be waving a flag that is a symbol of freedom to cheering on the next occupant of the White House who would, I think, probably take it away from you. We've gone from warning about Trump and that being dismissed as oh, you're being hysterical. Listen to yourself. You sound hysterical, Aid. We've gone from that to now, well, yeah, maybe he is a little bit Putin-y, but that might not be a bad thing. That might be what we need in the USA. What a trip you cunts have been on. And I think if there's one thing that we can glean from this evening, if there's one question that we could leave ourselves with in this episode of Aid Thompson and Other Disappointments, it's that looking at Trump's campaign and the fact that he's ahead in these 5 key states, looking at Biden's age and fragility and the most likely probable outcome, endgame of their election and where that's headed. And then if we look over at Rishi Sunak and his abysmal general election campaign performance thus far, right? The D-Day stuff, the announcement in the rain, the exit sign over his head, the lies in the debate, those being exposed by the Treasury guy who basically called him a liar, and then, the abysmal campaign that we've seen thus far by Rishi Sunak. You look at Trump ahead in the key states, you look at Rishi Sunak, it leaves me with this question, guys. Can we please get Rishi Sunak's campaign advisor to go and give a helping hand, lend his expertise to Donald Trump's campaign? I really think that would, there's a place for you over there. Guys, that's it. I need to wrap this one up. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for tuning in every week, those of you who do. Every Friday night at 7:30, there is one of these Friday night shows. If you're not on the Patreon or the YouTube community yet, there are links to both in the description below. I'll be back next Wednesday with another solo show, another sort of midweek thing in which I will rip and rant and roast and ridicule some more. The next in-person meetup, me, my Patreons, my YouTube community backers, that is happening the week of the general election. So the election is on the Thursday, the 4th of July. And then if you're down here for the weekend in London, on Saturday, the 6th of July, I'm going to be in London with all my Patreon community, my people of the Booge, my cult members. Here I am talking about the journey that the MAGA lot, the Church of MAGA with its prophets, that journey that they've been on to their own radicalization. Well, I have my own cult. And I will be with my cult members on Saturday, the 6th of July. So, yes, I've got to sort of run out the door now. Normally these shows are like an hour, aren't they, on a Friday night? We're sort of cutting it at 45 minutes, but I've got to go and do 2 things quite urgently. The first thing is go and treat myself to a milkshake, obviously, absolutely parched over here. And the second thing, I hate to cut these episodes short, but I've actually got to fly back to London for an urgent ITV interview. So until next time, guys, take care of yourselves, keep it Booge, keep it Binfluencer, and I am out this motherfucker!